Hello students, we are once again together with another aspect of a very socially relevant, socially discussed and in fact socially debated upon topic of the present times, that is gender and society. So we have already seen in the previous classes on the evolution of women, the status of women from a historical perspective, from a political perspective, and today we shall see on yet another significant aspect of gender issue, that is the socio-economic status of women in India. Socio-economic status of women in India. So we have already seen the position of women in society through the ages, historically, right from the Vedic, the Dravidian, then the post-Vedic, the medieval period, the pre-independence, the post-independence, and now in the 21st century. How has the position of women evolved? We have already discussed upon that. So we have seen that it is a checkered history. That is, there has been ups and downs in the roles and position played by women from time to time. So let us have a look at the economic contribution or the economic status that women has been holding in Indian society. And friends, when we make an assessment on the socio-economic status of women, it is very essential that we should understand the social structures, the social patterns, the cultural norms, the value systems prevailing in a society, because it is these very aspects that identify what should be the role that a woman should play in society, what should be the position of a woman in society. So whatever may be the nature of society, it is these set patterns, social, cultural, the value systems, that determine what exactly should be the role and position of a woman. So that is why, in order to understand how the Indian society culturally views or socially views the role and the position that a woman is expected to play, we have already seen that in the historical evolution of women through different stages. So now let us see socio-economically or from the economic perspective, what exactly is the status of women. Now the present century, the 21st century, is no doubt undergoing a revolution as far as the position or the contribution of women is concerned. There is no doubt in that. But when we say this decade is undergoing a revolution, that is never a generalization, that is only an exception applicable only for a selected few. When I say this as a generalization, when I say this without any exception, as something that prevails throughout the economy, when I say that the socio-economic status of women in India, without any exception, without any doubt, is very highly placed, that would be the day when we can say that this is a society, ours is a society which is based on gender equality. But at the present time, the statistically supported facts and data reveal that the picture is not very smooth. The picture is not very optimistic. And the various facts clearly support that there exists a case of gender discrimination prevalent in Indian society. And this gender discrimination has its reflection on the socio-economic status of women too. So before we move on to see the socio-economic status of women in the society, we need to have a look at what exactly are the underlying causes that are responsible to pull back the contribution of women in the social or economic fields. So let us see the causes responsible for what you call a downward trend in the socio-economic status of women. And these causes are not anything new. These have been the cases that has been existing in the Indian society from time immemorial. But the only thing is that there has been, in case of a few aspects, there has been a severity or an intensity of the cause has increased as days have passed by. So to quote a few of those factors, we can start with malnutrition. Malnutrition. So malnutrition may not sound to be a common cause in the today's society, where health sector has improved a lot, where government comes up with various policy measures and programs, especially for women and children. for their upliftment, malnutrition may not sound very severe, but it is of course a cause that affects women physically and mentally. And that in turn reflects in their contribution towards society. That reflects in their, adversely affects their productivity. So malnutrition. And related to malnutrition, as we said, it leads to poor health, affects them. Health hazards, affects them physically, and also there are, as a result of malnutrition, maternity death. Maternity death has also been a cause of concern. Because even in today's society, the girls getting married off at a very young age, as a result of which the pregnancies at a very young age may at times lead to health hazards and may result in maternity death. So malnutrition proves to be a cause of concern. Then again, yet another is lack of education. This again, the problem, the intensity of the problem has come down, but still then many, especially among the female population, many remains outside the ambit, outside the facilities of education at different levels, whether primary, secondary or at any level. Lack of education again proves to be a matter of concern that has to be looked into. Then we have dowry deaths. Dowry death. So even though it has been, government has from time immemorial, dowry death. Time immemorial, the government has introduced various policy measures to curb this evil. But still then this happens to be a social evil prevalent even in this 21st century. So invisible but with visible impact, dowry deaths even happen in today's society. Then the mistreatment meted out to women both in their domestic and in their professional life. The sexual violence extended to women is again a cause of great concern, I should say, which would make us put our heads down in shame, because in this 21st century, when we are fastly progressing towards attaining higher levels of progress, this happens to be indeed a black mark. A black mark on a nation that has the capability to be one among the topmost nations of the world if things work out properly in the days to come. So mistreatment meted out to women. So that is again yet another cause of concern. So these happens to be some of the causes that is responsible for what we call the poor socio-economic contribution of women towards productively contributing towards their towards the society. And then female feticide. I should make a mention of female feticide. Even though we talk about girl child, or we talk about a girl-boy equality, even in the educated section of the society, deep down in their minds, this preference for a girl child even exists. And in the remote part of the country, the female feticide, killing if the fetus happens to be female, is prevalent even in this 21st century. So these are some of the notable causes. The list is ongoing. There are many more to add on. Some of the prominent causes that adversely affects the socio-economic status of women in society. So with this in the background, let us see. So we should keep in mind that these are some of the factors that adversely or stand as an obstacle in the path of socio-economic development of female population. So with this background, let us see what is the present socio-economic status of women in the country, in India. So what has been their contribution? So here we find that 18% of the GDP is the contribution of female working population. 18%, a very minimal 18%, which is one of the lowest in the world. GDP, the gross domestic product, towards the gross domestic product of the country, the contribution by the female population, working population in India is a mere 18%, which is one among the lowest in the world. And then again, yet another glaring fact pointed out by the statistics statistically supported fact is that 97% of the working population, the female working population in the country, are active in the unorganized sector, where they are paid very minimal, they are engaged in domestic work, where their contribution does not get even recorded. So the majority of the population, it's only a minority that enter into the formal working sector, but majority of the female population, as per the statistical records, it is 97% of the female working population are working in the unorganized sector, which is again a very glaring drawback. Then another important factor as far as social status is concerned, as we have already discussed when we looked at the status of women through history, we have seen that basically our society is rooted on a patriarchal nature, male dominated society, and as such, because of the patriarchal nature of the society, the male dominated society, jobs are set apart, gender specific roles, gender specific jobs are set apart for women, gender specific. So they are in fact made to work within that set pattern, within the set specific roles. So that is again another important feature of socio-economic status of women. And even though working women are looked at with greater respect by the society, her status or the respect that she is given within the household is comparatively lower. So within the household, that is again a notable factor, within the household, the respect meted out to women is comparatively lower. Then another interesting fact is that when a survey of 810 premier institutes in the country, educational institutes in the country were undertaken. When I say 810 premier institutes in the country were undertaken, like Indian Institute of Technology, Indian Institute of Management, in such premier institutes, out of 810, only in 54 institutions, women were found to be holding high positions at the helm, at the top. Only in 54 institutes, women were found to be at the topmost positions. So that shows the glaring gap exists when you take the male-female opportunities, job opportunities. So in the survey, out of 810 premier educational institutions, only in 54 institutions, women were found to be holding the topmost position. So that the reasons may be due to the lack of talent, or maybe due to the bias shown towards a female category, female workforce, or it can even be attributed to the lack of sufficient applicants for this post from among the female category. So that was again an interesting finding. And talking about interesting finding, a study carried out by the Nobel laureate, the well-noted economist Amartya Sen in the year 1999. Amartya Sen, the noted economist, in the year 1999, he had carried out a study on India's economic reforms, and this study reflected that income leads to higher capabilities or higher capacities. But this study finding was found to be applicable only among the upper sections, upper class of the society, women working from the upper class, those who belong to the socio-economically stable class of the society. For them, this finding was applicable. That is, more is the income generated, that would lead to higher capacities or higher capability. As far as the majority of women from the lower socio-economic strata were taken into account, for them, a job was just a matter of survival. So for a very few, a minority of women belonging to the socio-economically well-placed section of the society, this finding was applicable. Income leads to higher capacities, higher capabilities. So this was again an interesting finding revealed from a study carried out by Amartya Sen. Then yet another study finding is that out of a group of 77 nations which was taken up, India was placed at the 70th position. India was ranked at the 70th position with respect to female entrepreneurs. Female entrepreneurs, businesswomen. The skill of female entrepreneurs was found to be particularly lagging behind in this study. Out of 77 nations taken up for the study, India's position was at the 70th with respect to female entrepreneurs. And here we have something, what you call a positive element here with the new economic policy knocking at our doors. The policy envisages that a good amount of investment would be for education for entrepreneurship, so that in the coming generations this lacuna, this drawback can be filled up, so that there can be more of entrepreneurs from among both the gender, with especially among the female entrepreneurs, because education for entrepreneurship is a thrust area of the new economic policy. So keeping our fingers crossed, in the days to come when the policy get implemented, let's hope that India would be placed at a very, very comfortable ranking in the years to come. So with respect to skill of female entrepreneurs also, India's position right now is very dismal. So these are some of the areas where you find the socio-economic status of women, not what you call a dismal picture. It's a dismal picture that is painted by the socio-economic status of women, not very satisfactory. So now what we have to see, so we have already examined what are the common causes responsible for the poor socio-economic status. We have also seen some of the features of socio-economic status of women in the country. So if this is the condition, socio-economic status, what can be done to improve it? Naturally, for the past so many years, the government has been bringing out many policy measures and programs. So one of the basic condition, one of the basic requirement, how to improve socio-economic status, these policies and programs should be implemented in the real sense, should be implemented properly. So the government should see to it that the benefits of these policies and programs reach the real beneficiaries. Then again, talking about the government measures, the Ministry for Welfare of Women and Children, the role of Ministry for Welfare of Women and Children should be implemented with greater sincerity, so that there will be more upliftment, there will be greater socio-economic contribution of the female gender towards society, towards the prosperity of the country. So the role played by this department of the ministry, that is Ministry for Women and Social Welfare, should also be improved upon. Then yet another is training, skill program. That is again skill training should be imparted to women workers, especially the entrepreneurship training. Why entrepreneurship training? In the last week, our Prime Minister Narendra Modi has very rightly highlighted that the days to come is not for job seekers but for job creators. More of startups should come. So with that aim in view, the new economic policy is again fully equipped with measures for skill training, for entrepreneurship training. So that again is yet another area where focus has to be made upon. And then again providing favorable credit or finance for entrepreneurship program, for business startups should be provided at easy terms and conditions to favor more of women entrepreneurs to come to the scene. So these are some of the measures that can be undertaken to lift the economy from the dismal socio-economic scenario as far as female working population is concerned. So what is to be, so we have already seen what exactly are the causes responsible for poor socio-economic status of women. We have also seen what are the various features of the socio-economic performance of women, and what can some of the measures, what can be done. So as an underlying motto, we should always keep in mind that talent is genderless. Talent is genderless. Talent is genderless. So with this motto in mind, let's come to an end of today's class. Thank you.